G'day, mate, and welcome back to the Friday Facts, number 272, Mod GUI. And I've got actually Luke Tor with me today. Hey, mate.
G'day, how are things?
Ah, good. Well, Mojo's off. I don't know what whether he's told everybody. He's off having fun for a weekend. So I've brought in my other favourite Australian to come help me out with this one.
No worries. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Excellent. So we've got this one's written by Twinson and R Seating. So we know we're going to have some graphics and some code. It's pretty much how it goes. So we got a large part of the teams attending the GDS, which is the Game Developers session in Prague. And I've gone and looked it up. And the only thing that anybody needs to know about this is look for what games come out of the Game Jam, because sometimes in 2 years' time, they're going to be awesome. That's about it. And I hope the Woob team has a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope they have a great time. Unfortunately, of course, Prague is about as far from Australia as you can possibly be. So
yes,
none of us are likely to get there.
And if you want to go look at Woob's proper logo, I guess it's either on my screen now, therefore this video, or on the webpage. And yeah, I agree with Mojo. It's hard to read. It's a bit all over the place. It definitely looks different to every other logo on the page, but yeah. Okay, so on to new management install update mods GUI. We were going through the main menu, improving the looks and sometimes the interaction of most of the GUIs. It was obvious that mod management needed some attention. Yes, we all know that. Most of the interaction was quite unintuitive and limited, making most players prefer using the web version and managing the files manually. Mods will be managed, installed, and updated from the same GUI, 3 options being shown in 3 tabs. The interaction arrangement and intuitiveness of the GUI should be vastly improved. It still won't have all the features of the online mod portal, such as discussions, but provides a very quick, hassle-free way of installing and updating mods without having to deal with files. That was too much. I should have highlighted less. So, before we go on, look at all. Do your mods through the game or through the webpage?
Well, I was going to ask you the same thing, because most of the interaction is saying people like to manage files manually. If I'm testing my mod against people's saves, actually I download it via the game mod sync to get all the mods that people have.
Yep.
In terms of managing manually, so what are they saying here? People like to
go to the webpage, download the mods, put them in the right folder, away you go.
Right. I think I download most mods from within game.
Okay. See, for my personal maps, I'll download them all from the webpage because I want to read through the discussions, look for any bugs, all that sort of stuff. I put a lot of time and effort into it because it's going to be a new series. It's going to be run for 3 months plus. And the last thing I want to do is manage mods halfway through. For the community servers, same story. I'll actually go to the webpage and download individually every mod. For a base tour, somebody sent me a save file. So I use the sync with save button because it's convenient. And it'll just go magically get all the mods and put them in the right folder and restart 5 times and away I go. But I gotta say, personally, it's always the webpage. I do like that it's in-game, and if I just want one mod, I'll do it in-game, but anything above and beyond one mod, I guess I risk having to restart too many times. Because that's the other thing.
I do read, so I probably actually download the version I'm going to use via the in-game, but I typically, if it's a new mod that I haven't used, I do go and read what's on the web page in the mod portal, rather than, because you don't get a lot of information. And even with this, like for example, they're still saying that you won't have discussions.
Yeah.
You don't get a huge amount of information.
Yeah,
it's just the description.
It's a good update. So you got mod settings, manage the mods, which is the ones already installed, so you can turn them on and off, which we've got sort of currently. We've got a mods settings install page to actually go off to the internet and get more mods, and you've been famously featured here as Modman.
Modman, maybe that's my new nickname.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Because this is actually your mod, SpaceX.
It is indeed, yes.
And it's come up in Reddit and in the forums, and I've actually got the second image here. Originally, all the dependencies were listed as hyperlinks. And everybody's curious on whether you can click those or not. So they've changed the actual Friday facts to be these little arrow things, which I assume is just takes the in-game UI to that particular mod, like Bob's Function Library mod, and lets you install those mods as well, I assume.
That'd be nice. I guess it'd be even... I mean, the only thing is, you certainly don't want to just install all, because if you note on mine, they're all optional. This is just when I added the ability for... I mean, because if you don't have it, especially on this mod, the number of queries, bring back Angel Bob support sort of thing that I was getting, you know. So, and the only way you can implement that is by... you can't do anything inside your mod if you haven't loaded these other ones first. So if they exist, they have to be loaded first. So you have to have them as dependencies. Hence they're there, but obviously optional, because you don't want to force people to download other stuff when you're essentially a vanilla add-on.
Yeah, no. If SpaceX depended on Bob's, I would have never played SpaceX. I'll be honest. I'll be honest.
Fair enough.
And then we got the updates page. Now, they have said that, you know, they're going to give you limited functionality. So you'll have the version number, the downloads, the trending. So that's, I don't know, how many downloads in the last week, I guess. When mods were last updated. A snippet from the webpage. And I've actually got the mod here. So we got total downloads, created, you know, when it was first created, mod author, dependencies. Where's dependencies listed on the webpage? I can't remember. Under downloads. So they're all listed there. It is basically a copy of the webpage. And I guess my biggest request is, same as the webpage, I want to be able to download a specific version. Because, like, my community map, you've just released your Train Supply Manager.
Yep.
And I updated the mods today. But since now and like 3 days ago, you went through 5 versions or something, you said.
Yeah, I mean, I was just, if somebody raised an issue and I found the cause for it, I didn't want to just hold it back, because obviously that potentially was affecting other people as well. So release a version, and it's a fairly normal thing when a mod is brand new. I mean, it went through obviously a alpha stage where I forget exactly how many people we had involved. We had enough to you know, test it fairly thoroughly. But of course, once you expose it to a much wider group, other things show up, and you try and resolve them as quickly as possible. So yeah, we went through about 5. Seems to have quietened down in terms of issues now, and in fact, the last update I did was just a feature update, requested feature update. But yeah,
the biggest thing is, because my community map is so hard to update, there's a very good chance that I might not update it for the rest of the month. But if then somebody wants to play with it, play with the Train Supply Manager on their own personal save, then they've got to keep downgrading the mod to get back on the community map. And that's something I'd like to see. I'd like to be able to see just, no, I don't want to download the latest version. I want to download 3 versions ago, because that's the version I actually need. They have said, there will be a lovely, we've currently got a sync mods with save if you've got the local save. But there'll actually be a sync mods with server button, thank gosh. So we can actually just look at the community map and go, sync, join. So yeah, then we got the updates page, which is just, you know, this mod and that mod's been updated. You know, we've all seen that sort of stuff before. The most notable changes are only mods compatible with your game version are shown, which is currently working that way, I believe. The list of viable mods can be additionally filtered by the category, which you can't do with the in-game one at all. You can do with the webpage. We can say, come on, webpage. We just want power production ones, and we'll just get stuff that deals with power.
I must admit this the category one is actually I've something like SpaceX. I've never quite known exactly where to put it. So I'm not sure how useful sometimes some of these things are, but
I don't know. SpaceX is definitely a hard one. General for the catch-all category.
yeah, I think it's sort of in a sort of catch-all category. It's in, but the general, the catch-all that it's in, I think, is like game-changing. It's not really game-changing. I mean, it's in-game adding, but it's not really game-changing. So it's a bit of a, it's not really categorized correctly, but it's it's as good as one can do, I guess.
Yeah, well, look, I think as the game develops and more mods pop up, hopefully we end up with more categories, because really SpaceX should be in a end game section, because that's where it would fit. It is end game, right?
And there are a few others now starting to show up that are really end game as well. So it'd be quite nice to have that category.
Yeah. So the other changes are mods will have a picture, which we currently have on the webpage. It's probably another reason why I use the webpage. And when updating the mods, you can clearly see version numbers, browse the changelog, and choose what updates, if any, you want to skip. So let's use skip updates, but they didn't mention going back in versions. That's the one I want to do. I want to go and pick, like, we've got alien biomes on the Friday Facts at 13.10. If I only want to go to 13.11, I want to choose 13.11. I don't want to choose, 13.13. I want to pick a specific version. So that's my only comment. And I looked at the internal document, and that didn't help either. They didn't specify whether that was going to be a thing or not.
That's unfortunate, isn't it? I haven't actually looked at their internal document. I thought this sort of covered... I like what they're trying to do. It does tidy the whole thing up. But
it does.
One thing I actually want to jump back to is the actual title here. Friday Facts 272 Mod GUI. I must admit, I read that far and I went, yes, because, I mean, obviously I'm looking at Mod GUIs at the moment. And I was thinking, great, they're improving the GUI interface for mod, not your... where you manage and update
your mods from.
And then I saw the rest of it. Oh, I was rather deflated. But I mean, I do like what they've done. But there's a couple of notable things that are missing from. Well, probably the most notable, I guess, is actual windows. There's a couple of things within game that you can click on and.
I think they're coming in 17. It's going to be one of those. I think they've mentioned something either in a Friday Fact or in the Reddit somewhere. But of course,
I have seen it on mod requests, but I must have missed that. I hope that is true, because
I don't know. It's one of those. It comes down to how they're rewriting the GUI, and of course, they've already said the GUI rewrite's going to be spread over 17 and 18. So for all you know, it could have been in the postponed to 18 part.
It could be. We'll see.
So yeah, what else? Before we go on, the pictures, if you open in a new tab, right, any of these pictures, you get the URL. And this is why I've got the old version of this one with the hyperlinked. And I just want to point out, just because we've got blasted for it, the third image, this one, it says update selected, and they forgot a P. And there was about 10 or 20 comments on Reddit and the forums with many, many upvotes of this highlighted. I'm like, God, give the poor guys a break. So yeah, invariants are required. And Lord Couture's tried to explain this to me twice now, and I still don't get it entirely.
You know what that means. It means when I try and explain it to everybody else, I'm probably going to fail.
Well, you're going to do better than me. I pulled up the wiki page and I looked at invariants of computer science and I read it and I read up on it more and I still don't get it. But yeah, in fact, invariants are required. In a version of Factorio long ago, we had this recurring problem with items and inventories. When an item was added or removed from some inventory, it meant to generate an event about what happened. These events are used for multitude of different things to allow for many code simplifications and optimizations, such as turn off the inserter until a new item shows up in the chest it's taking from. It used to work like this. Code to remove adds some item in some inventory, some logic with those items, send the event about what changed in the inventory. However, with most things change, someone would add a new logic or just forget not to send the changed event. After all, programs are human and we make mistakes. This issue kept recurring and was incredibly hard to test for because we can't write a test for some logic which doesn't exist yet. You can't test for something is correct until you've written it, and if you forgot to send the changed event, you forgot to write a test that checks you didn't forget it, which is R-seeding in code and just the way R-seeding works, which is great for our and optimizations. The only solution I can think of to the human problem is remove the human part of the problem. Invariants are amazing tools. We can write tests to enforce an invariant. Programmers don't need to think about handling things outside the invariant because they can always say it should work as the invariant describes, so I don't need to handle the other cases. The invariant is ever broken, is clearly a bug and has a clear solution. And then Lord Cador is going to attempt to explain all this to us in English.
In English, oh my goodness.
Oh,
Okay.
look, I'll settle for it in Australian.
Australian, okay. That's a lot easier.
Okay.
All right. The first thing to realize about invariants is that they are not represented in code at all. It's a human rule. It's basically someone who's written up on a whiteboard. For example, every time inventory changes, this event must be raised, which is the example they're using here. Or one that I used in actually Train Supply Manager is when a train arrives at a station, there's an event that's generated. I use that event. So hopefully that's one of their invariants, that whenever a train arrives at a station, that event has to. Now, so it's a rule that humans understand. It's not a rule in code. So what would happen is that the coders create their code. They're human. They might forget about this part of the code that they required per the rules of the invariant. But that's where the second sentence in, well, I guess it's the second to last paragraph, since as always, let us know what you think in the forum is the last paragraph. But in the second to last paragraph, we can write tests to enforce a variant. So that is the key. So they have their automated test tools, and I'm assuming that's what they mean. They're predominantly using here. I guess you can do it without actually doing it via automated test tools, but if you can do it via the automated test tools, it's a lot better.
Yep.
So what happens then is this piece of code goes into the QA process where it starts to get tested, and part of the test is running all these automated test tools. And the automated test tools will check all the invariants held to be invariant, as in a train has arrived in a station. Was this event created? No. Okay. That breaks the invariant, therefore it's a bug. That code has to be fixed.
So it's basically has nothing to do with the code of Factorio. It is a separate thing that is the if then else statement, right? If something happens, then something should happen, or somebody forgot to write code. Else we're going to go yell at the developer who forgot to write the code in the first place, and that's all in their automated test tools.
That's right. The automated test tool identifies the fact that there's a breach of the invariant, so it has to be fixed.
Well, there you go.
And what happens then is the power of the invariant is that when they're writing their code, they know that, for example, train arrives in station, an event will be called. They don't need to check to see if the event for some reason was not called, which means that you can simplify your code somewhat as well, because you know for a fact that this is going to be the case, because it will be trapped in the testing tools and resolved.
Okay. Okay, so they've made their life a little bit easier. But I'm also guessing that I'm like not a programmer at all. You're a modder, so you're at least way higher up the food chain than I am. But I'm also guessing that they should have probably looked at this some time ago, not in version 17.
Well, I'm not going to comment on things like that.
Okay.
I mean, they're a software house. They've done well. They have a very polished product. You compare it to their competitors in terms of the level of optimization of it, and
other $20, $30 games. I'll quite happily throw Oxygen Not Included under the bus. I've been playing that for a year and a half now, and it's still every update it seems to get slower and slower on my computer. Never faster. Yeah.
How big can you make a world in RimWorld or in Prison Architect or those sorts of worlds in comparison?
Nowhere near the Factorio scale.
So
not even close.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have all of these things from day one, but they're getting better. They're taking their time.
They're finally maturing from a startup into a software house, and they're still at that halfway point. I think there's been one like we're maturing in every Friday Facts the last couple of weeks. There's been look, we finally grew up a little bit and put on our slightly bigger boy pants, and we get there. Anyway, anything else to add to this week's Friday Facts?
No, not a lot really. It looks good. I mean, everything they're doing is more steps in the right direction. Nothing that really stands out and blows you away. I imagine most people read this Invariants are required, and in spite of the fact that a lot of people who play Factorio obviously sort of higher educated and probably into engineering or coding or whatever else, and so on. You don't necessarily deal with these sorts of terminologies.
No, I'd never ever seen it ever before today. And I've got a history in IT for like 20 plus years. I don't deal in code. And I think that's the only spot you'd find the variant popping up in code. Yeah, anything else I can think of where we've got, like, even project management, right? We've got similar rule sets, but they never fall under the title invariant. No. It turns out it's a mathematical thing to start with, right? And then sort of swapped across to computer science, because that's where most computer science stuff came from people doing maths. Anyway, I think the only thing I really want to reiterate is downloading specific versions. Oh, and a couple of people mentioned in the forums and in Reddit, and I have to agree, that if a mod can't be found on the mod portal, I'd love to see in-game integration where it actually downloads it from the server. So if I make SpaceX version 53, because I've gone in and manually modified the files, and I host that on my server, it's obviously not available on the mod portal. So I'd like a client to be able to go download it from the community map server.
I hope if you do that, you very carefully check the license agreement first.
I promise I would. But that was probably my only other, download from server backup sort of thing. Because I've done it before. I've modified, I've modified mods to, like the artillery range one. I modified that so you heard artillery even further away because I was on a giant map, and epic artillery sounds didn't sound very epic because I was always too far away from the artillery shells going off. So I modified that for a local save. But yeah, if I host that on a community map server, again, I'd have to, I don't know, either write a mod that rewrites the mod and release that on the mod portal, or just modify the original mod and call it a different version, and then have it host on the server, and the server auto-feed it to clients. That's probably about it.
Right. Although people are probably expecting something when they download a mod, they're probably not expecting a customized version of it from a server. If they already have it, for example, is it going to interfere with, things that they already have running in a vanilla setting. If you're just changing the volume of something, then I mean that's
correct.
probably
But
not.
like the mod on screen is SpaceX expansion mod version 16.4, and your current version is 0.30, 0.3.15.
Yes, well, we know they changed a couple of details here. They changed the status because no one would disable SpaceX, and they changed the version, and they changed the author and the contact and so on. But the rest of it's pretty accurate.
Actually, I think its status is disabled because it's currently downloading.
Oh, right. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, see, it makes perfect sense now. So yeah, they've changed some settings here, but like same story. If you're going to customize a mod, right? You're right. If I called it SpaceX version 16.4, it would in theory screw over anybody who's running your current version because it'd be a higher version. Therefore, it would try to auto-update, and anybody who's playing with the SpaceX on their local save, it would load in my version, which would be wrong. But if I renamed the mod to JD's SpaceX for December community map, blah, 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 and then called it 16.4, it's then a separate mod. But I don't want the hassle of having to upload it to the mod portal and all that sort of stuff, because it's going to be used once, twice, 5 times, 30 days, and then it's deleted and disregarded and never updated, and yeah.
At least you could, assuming that what you've just described is legal according to the license of the mod, upgrading it, well, doing your changes, putting it on the mod portal, at least these days you can actually
turn it off.
Turn it off on the portal now, which is something you never used to be able to do.
Yeah, you can turn it off, and if somebody's got a local copy, actually already has it installed, then it will auto-update to the latest version, but new people can't find it to download it. Right. So yeah, my 2 cents, Lord Couture's 2 cents. I think that does it for this week.
Yeah, I'm all done.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. All right. Bye.
See ya.